Wow. So we have made it to episode 5, In Space, No One, which obviously is the tagline of Alien. And yeah, I have to say that the last two episodes we have seen from Ninja Turtles and Alien both have been the best ones we have seen of the season so far. And yeah, both of the last episodes we have seen have been very good. I mean, we got probably the best Ninja Turtles episode in episode 10, and then here in episode 5 of Alien Earth, we definitely got the best episode of the season so far. So, this episode is essentially what happened before the ship crashed. We don't get to actually see, which I kind of was hoping. I think I misread the intro because it said 17 days from Earth. I was thinking when it said that it was like 17 days after they left. Like they just left for their mission, and we were going to see how they captured these creatures and how they were able to get them all. And I thought that would have been a pretty cool way to have seen how this all happened. Maybe we wouldn't have gotten maybe the answers we would have gotten, but at least we could have seen how they captured them, see how they were even able to get them, see the people that they were talking about that we lost, get to know those people, and see why why Shmuel and the kid that who's his apprentice were so sad about that they lost so many. But I thought that's what we were going to get, and I mean, don't get me wrong, the episode is still very good, but it's 17 days till they get back home. So they've already done the mission. They've already got these creatures. And so we get to see the crew before the crash. Like almost you could put this episode before episode 1 and it would be like a perfect mirror of how it happened and everything. So we get to see all that. One of the workers have found that their ship or Shmuel actually is one of the guys who found out that the ship is basically a missile right to Earth, that someone screwed up the navigation and it went from just being their ship to now it is a missile being shot down. Like, if they don't figure it out soon, they might just die from the impact of this crash because someone is a saboteur, and we are going to see they're trying to figure out who is doing it, why they're doing it, and there's a lot of red herrings, especially Mr. Tang. They really give off the vibe that it is him that is the saboteur this whole time, and you can almost tell right away it is not this guy. He's just a creepy dude. He's just a weirdo, because he keeps on like perving on this girl who's sleeping, and even Murrow catches it at one point when he's doing interviews with everybody, asking him like, you went and saw this poor girl again, and he's trying to figure out how he's getting in there. But before we get over to that area, Murrow finds out that Bronsky and Zaria, who is second in command of the ship because the actual captain ended up dying, because they woke up Murrow out of hyperspace to come and check out that both the face huggers are on Bronsky and the captain, and as they were trying to free the captain, they found out the face huggers have the acid blood, and it melted right through his neck, of course, because they were trying to loosen it up, and that didn't do anybody any good. So the captain's dead, and now Zari is the captain of the ship, and now she's got the command of what's going on and what they should do. Like I said, they were giving up the vibes of Mr. Tang, but if you've watched any movie, you can kind of tell the first person usually isn't always the right one. And in this one, you can easily tell it wasn't this guy. It wasn't Tang at all. They really stressed it hard to make it seem like it was him, and it wasn't him at all. But Murrow was trying to find out how the face huggers got out, and he sees the accident that happened where there was like this fire. We don't know how the fire started. It might have just been something, loose wires or something. But the captain and Bronsky go in there and try to de-escalate the blaze, and they're able to do that. But then Murrow is able to see that somebody opened up one of the containments with the face huggers, and they were able to get out and attach to Bronsky and the captain. And it's almost a blind spot in one camera, but he does see at another point of view that it is somebody, but he cannot tell who it is because they're covered in shadows. So he's not able to see who did it and who was the one who released them, and essentially basically started this whole thing. We also learned that Malachi, I believe it is, and Shmuel have like this father-son relationship. We find out that Malachi isn't the smartest person in the world, and he kind of only did this mission by accident because he thought they were going to be dealing with rocks and that type of stuff. He didn't know it was going to be animals and creatures, which Shmuel kind of tells him, like, no, this is this type of experiment and that's that other type. And you can kind of tell that Malachi means well, but he wasn't given the full education as some others, and that's why he's doing the grunt work, essentially. But yeah, Shmuel kind of keeps him under his wing, treats him like a kid. It's almost like it's his son, essentially. I mean, they've been on the ship for 63 years. It was bound to happen where relationships were going to happen and people were going to have a father-son bond or some type of bond with each other. You're on the ship so long with people, it's just going to happen. And we get to see how much the crew means to Mother, because Zari's trying to figure out what to do going forward, having to log all of this in there. Murrow essentially wanted to just take the command away from Zari because she's having this relationship with Bronski that she was having, and Murrow kind of feels like her judgment is swayed because she's more worried about Bronski and not maybe worrying about the crew so much, and not worrying about the specimens, who are the most important. And we find out Mother definitely cares more about the specimens more than the crew. The crew is basically the ship. Ship could blow up, no one cares. As long as all the creatures and the aliens are fine, they could care less about the crew at all. They actually don't give a crap about the crew whatsoever. So, I mean, that's no surprise. We kind of all figure that. We also get a flashback with Murrow and his daughter, telling his daughter that I'm going to be up in the sky, so if you want to talk to me, look up there. He got some of her letters that she sent to him, and in one of them, if you can read it fast enough, because they do cut away from it, you do find out that his daughter died, like, within her first year of college. I guess there was a fire in one of the buildings, I think it was. But yeah, his daughter's basically been dead this entire time he's been out there. So not only he didn't even get to go to a funeral for his daughter, the last time he saw his daughter was the last time he would ever see her. So he doesn't even get to see her as an old lady. Like, he really does have nothing going back home. He lost his entire family, which you kind of have to guess when you do this type of mission, and that's why you get paid so much, because you're losing your entire life. You don't get a life anymore. It's almost better not to have a life than have one when it comes to these types of missions. So unfortunately, he loses his daughter relatively quick as he is on there. I don't know. I'd have to really look into doing the math, and I'm sure other people who do Easter eggs like New Rockstar, they would tell you exactly what happened and how long it was into his own mission. But also after that, we get an idea of one of the facehuggers. Now one of the xenomorphs had burst out of the containment that they had. They put Bronski and froze it, hoping that would help stabilize it, and hopefully that the xenomorph wouldn't have gotten out and being in containment. We all know how that works out, though. That did not work well for them, as now they found out they got to basically kind of get this going. They need to get the process of figuring out who the saboteur is and trying to contain the xenomorph, because it's growing fast, and now that it's free, they really have a race against time between the xenomorph getting them, figuring out the saboteur, and then figuring out the navigation system, because this ship is still a rocket going straight to Earth. So they kind of need to figure out what the heck to do and get all this processing going really quick. We also get to see how smart the eye octopus is, and how dumb Chibizo, I think is her name, how dumb she is, because she's eating and drinking in her lab with all of these creatures. You don't know what they do. You don't know how they affect you or how they will affect you or what they can technically do, because the tests you've been doing, you still don't have 100% information. So you don't know what you're going to get when you do this with them. You're not doing the tests that you need to be doing. And she's just sitting here eating and drinking, but we get to see how smart the eye is and how it's working with the blood bugs and how they were able to get free and be able to spray a whole bunch of more of these little fellas in her little water bottle. And the eye was using it as a distraction. While she's distracted, she doesn't fully put the eye in containment where it's locked up. She doesn't realize, okay, there's a bug on my food. I probably shouldn't eat or drink any of this because who knows what the heck happened here. The other guy comes in who I don't know his name off the top of my head. The other scientist, Dr. Scientist, I would assume. He kind of comes in there and catches that the bug's in her food. So she wouldn't have even noticed if it wasn't for him. So she could have bit right into that bug and just screwed herself up even more. And it's just, I feel like it's very reckless because what, a guy's smoking in the food place? Eat in your room then. Don't eat in the lab that you work with bugs that you don't understand. Specimen you don't understand or how they function. That is a bad move on you for sure. And, after we get to see that dumb move, Murrow is now doing these interviews with everybody, trying to figure out where they were, what they were doing. He talks to the doctor guy and says, hey, there were points where you're missing for 10 minutes. If I look into the pharmacy, am I going to find out that there isn't anything missing? You know, he's trying to pick the root of and trying to figure out exactly what is going on. We only get to see 2 of the interviews, and it's with that one doctor and Tang. And Tang kind of gives him this sense that he knows more than what Murrow knows. And he's like, you're looking right at the answer, but you don't see it. You're so focused on something else, but that you don't see what's right in front of you. And he's like, just because a pod says that someone's sleeping doesn't mean someone's actually sleeping. So Murrow kind of looks at him. He's like, you know who's awake. But obviously he's not going to tell him who it is. And throughout all of this, while we get to see Shmuel working on the ship and this interview process between the 2 guys, you get the tension of that the alien or the xenomorph is somewhere nearby or watching them. Or it just feels like the tension of these shots are intentionally giving you like, oh God, like something intense is about to happen. Like there's going to be a xenomorph coming right now, or the xenomorph's going to get one of these guys as he's doing these interviews. Like that's the vibe this is giving you. And I think it's just to build that tension up more and more. And it does a really good job. You know, it's not going to happen yet, but the build up is getting better and better and better as it keeps doing this. So after he figures out who it could possibly be, he ends up going through all the logs of the messages of people who are sending messages back home, and he ends up running into one of these guys called Petrovich, is the saboteur, and that he is talking to Kid Cavalier, and Cavalier's telling him, hey, if you can crash the ship, I want these specimen, and then whatever happens, as long as you survive, I will make sure you get a butt ton of money and you can go back to your southern Alabama. Like, he kind of makes fun of where he's from, essentially. And Kid Cavalier, we find out, is the one who is responsible for all of this. So this is all Kid Cavalier's fault. All of this is his fault. And Petrovich just wanted a butt ton of money. And Kid Cavalier tells him, like, as long as you survive, yeah, you can get the money, but if not, well, sucks for you. Which, yeah, that does suck. This dude going through all of this freaking pain and anguish to try and get these specimen for you, and if he doesn't survive, it was a waste of time, because he doesn't even reap the benefits of this at all. So, after all that, we see the blood bugs can spray and... Oh, so before I get into that, they get into this before I think the meeting. They have another meeting with all the people who are awake at the moment, just before he figures out who the saboteur is, and we see Chibizo's drink. Malachi ends up taking a sip out of it because he put so much hot sauce on his food that just instinct you're going to try and drink something away to clear your throat. Well, he drinks the bottle that all the bugs, that the blood bugs sprayed its little friends into, its little babies into. So he drinks this, and as he's working with Shmuel, he ends up throwing up all the blood because now they're attacking him and sucking up all of his blood. And as they are doing a scan to see what's going on in his body, which I feel like they should have just left it. Once you see there's something on this dude's body, you should assume something. The first thought that should have been popping in your head is, oh, that one bug got out. I wonder if it sprayed something in my water bottle. Right there, you should have just kept him contained, and there you go. You could have saved yourself. But Chibizo and the other doctor end up cutting him open and trying to get these ticks, these blood bugs off of him and trying to save his life, and it ends up just killing them because as they're trying to take one off, it ends up spraying this mist on them, and it ends up killing them a lot quicker than what these blood bugs were doing before. Like, we saw how fast the blood bugs did, how fast they killed somebody when we saw the second episode, I believe it was, or the first episode. I think it was the second episode. And we see how fast they were able to suck the blood out of this, but the spray ends up killing them almost instantly. It was like a toxin or something, and it kills Chibizo and the doctor almost immediately. So they're out of the picture because they weren't thinking, and they should have listened to Murrow and not tried to do anything. They should have left the situation alone, considering they don't understand these creatures, and they did not do enough tests to figure out what causes them, what they can do, or anything like that. So they should have done that more than just assuming this. So they both end up, all three of them actually end up dying right there. And then as all of that's going on, Tang is actually killed by a xenomorph off screen, so we don't even get to see him get killed. So we know he's killed because one of Murrow's, I think one of the other security, I think it's security, I'm not sure who he is, but I think he's Clem, ends up coming and telling them, hey, Tang is gone. I think something big took him, which we all know it's the xenomorph that did it. And as they're going through all of this, trying to figure out where it is and try to chase down, they end up chasing down Petrovich, who was right by the medical bay, or not the medical bay, where the lab is, where the eye is. They end up getting into a shootout between Petrovich and them, and Clem gets shot a couple times, so Murrow's bringing him into the lab, trying to keep him safe, telling him, hey, everything's gonna be okay, we're gonna get this, and Petrovich manages to hit a clean headshot on Clem, and, like, you knew this dude was gone for sure, and ends up taking him out pretty quick. So they're in the fist fight, or in the gunfight. Murrow's able to get around and be able to stab him, figuring out that this whole thing was Kid Cavalier's idea and they want their monsters. And Murrow's pissed because now his ship's going down under. After that, Zari's comes encounter with face-to-face with the xenomorph, who doesn't attack her right away. So I don't understand why the xenomorph doesn't attack some people right away, but it attacks others almost immediately. Like, I don't know what's this slow build-up it's doing. So it ends up tripping her, and then she runs away, and it almost lets her, like, all right, go. I want to have a little fun chasing you. So it chases her into, I'm assuming, the cockpit, it looks like. And we see that Shmuel is taken over by one of the eye bugs. So the eye is now in control of him, and we get to see how it controls a human, and that it is not, the eye is not scared of the xenomorph whatsoever. It does not have any fear of the xenomorph. It goes right into fight with it, and even after it loses its vessel, it pops out and still goes after the xenomorph and tries to kill it. Like, it's impressive that this little bug, this little eye creature, it wants to prove that it's the dominant species, and it goes right after the alien. I don't know how it gets free or how it manages to get away from it, but it ends up somehow getting away because it traces Zari down, and we're back to where we were from episode 1 when she's on the other side getting attacked and killed by the xenomorph, and Murrow's putting all these things in for Mother and ends up getting into the little safety place that he gets saved. And then we lead back to him talking to Weyland-Yutani and saying how I'm going to get all these back and that I'm going to get revenge on Kid Cavalier. So, yeah, a lot happens in this entire freaking episode and a lot of good. So I'm going to do the cons because there ain't much cons. Smart people being dumb. There are so many times people are just being dumb in this episode that it doesn't make sense, that a lot of it could have been prevented. If Chibizzo would have paid attention to what she was doing and not eating in her fucking lab, she probably wouldn't have died. And there probably wouldn't have been the eye, wouldn't have gone loose. The blood bugs wouldn't have gone loose as well, so you would have had more people safe. You probably could have figured out the saboteur a little bit faster if Tang wasn't trying to be a weird, creepy dude and just told him right away, like, hey, I know who it is. This will save us and we won't all freaking die. So smart people just being dumb and not making the smart decisions at all is what caused all of them to die. Because if they were just smart about what they were doing and paying attention to what they were doing or not doing certain things, you could have survived. So I would say that's the biggest con in this episode. But yeah, we've got a lot of pros. We finally get some answers to some of our questions. We finally figure out that Kid Cavalier knew about these specimens and that he wanted them for himself because, for some reason, whatever Weyland-Yutani wanted them for, Kid Cavalier probably wanted them for the same reason. So that's why we know that's why he wants them. So we figure out why he wants them. We figure out why the ship ended up crashing, what ended up happening to the crew and all that, and how it happened, and how they got free. So we get that. We figure out all the people who ended up dying. We get all of these other questions that we didn't know. But we still don't figure out the connection between the Xenomorph and Wendy. We don't know why exactly Cavalier wants them. We just know it's obviously a money thing. So something with that, obviously, their blood, their species, something about them, something about these creatures they want to study and make money off of. That would be my main guess for that answer. But we finally do get some questions, and we do get some backstory on Murrow and why he's kind of so cold-hearted, but at the same time, like, he can understand the situation like he was with Slightly. So that was kind of good to see, get some backstory on that stuff. This episode felt more like an Alien episode, like, not just because we were on the ship, but because of how tense it was and how uneasy it tried to make you feel, and it just kept building the tension up throughout this episode until the final moments when just all hell breaks loose. And it really was nice to go back to that instead of having to listen to people talk about random crap that doesn't contain to what we want to know, essentially. So I felt like this one definitely got back to the alien roots of it and definitely made it feel more alien-like. I also like we got to see how the creatures function. We got to see that they're not just dumb creatures. They are smart. They do have a mind. Even if they don't like each other, they do work and they work in tandem to what's benefit them. Like, obviously the eye doesn't care about the blood bug, but managing to do what it was doing, distracting Chibizzo, and her not putting her full focus on sealing up him or her, we find out the eyes of her, figuring out that she's not fully sealing her, so then she can get out by slingshotting herself against the containment and breaking free. Obviously, having the blood bugs attack Chibizzo, or hopefully somebody would cause panic and everything. So it's just nice that we got to kind of see these three bugs that we've already seen already, or these three creatures before, and we kind of get to see how they function and now that they're free a little bit. So that was kind of cool to see that. And then the tension definitely was nice in this episode. It was great to see, and it was great to feel, and just every shot made you feel unease. And even with them trying to do the whole, this person's the saboteur, but that's a red herring, it was just all done very nice. And this one was nice to get an episode like this finally. And this episode definitely gets an A from me. This was definitely one of the better episodes of the season. And I'm hoping the next three aren't letdowns. I'm hoping they get just as better, but we'll see what happens. And then we'll go from there. So I'm excited to see what happens. But yeah, I'm hoping the next couple of episodes don't let me down and the season ends on a strong note. But like I say in every episode, let me know what you're watching, what you're watching, what you're playing, what you're reading. What'd you think of this episode? Did you think it was actually bad? Did you think it was just a copy of Alien itself? Or did you agree with me that it felt like it was getting back to the Alien roots instead of what we had the last couple episodes? So let me know in the comments. And like I always say, feedback's always appreciated. And I appreciate you guys. And I will see you in the next one.